friends, Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library. And Alderon and I are here today to talk to you about a couple books that we're really excited about. And I've been saving them to talk about this video in particular because it's a very special time. So we're in June now, right? There is so very much to celebrate and love about this time of year. We've got summer is on the horizon, right? The weather is beautiful. We can go outside and spend time, with picnics or just taking walks or reading outside, which is, of course, my favorite outdoor activity. But there's also another really special thing about June, and that it is Pride Month. So this is a wonderful, wonderful time of year to read and feature and highlight books and authors that fall within our LGBTQ community. And I've got a couple today that I think are very special. And I wanted to do both of them in the same video because they're going to be a little bit different from probably other books I talk about this month, in that they're a little bit odd. Both of them in a wonderful way, but they're both a little bit odd. So I'm probably going to at some point this month talk about some like contemporary romance books for Pride Month, or just regular contemporary books that might feature LGBTQ characters. But these two books in particular are very, very weird. They're quirky and weird, and I am here for it because they were awesome. So this first book I want to talk about is Bloom by Delilah Dawson. Bloom. You can see this cover is beautiful and unsettling all at the same time, which is kind of awesome, right? Now, I picked this up because I love Delilah Dawson. She's written some really fantastic books in the past that I've absolutely adored. But another reason why I picked this up is because I had heard about the reason why she wrote it, which was she and her daughter were watching the TV show Hannibal, which, if you don't know, obviously Hannibal, it's a show about Hannibal Lecter, and from, Silence of the Lambs fame. And her daughter turned to her and said, "Mom, why are all the good-looking serial killers guys? Why aren't there any, seductive female serial killers?" And her mom, Delilah Dawson, turned that idea over and over into her head until she came up with the idea for this book. So I was very intrigued right from the get-go to read this. Another really great thing about it is it's very short. It's barely 200 pages. So you will blow through this very quickly, and I think that the length of this book is really important because it lends to the entire tone and atmosphere of it, in my opinion. So what is this book about? So this is a book about a woman named Rosemary, who is a professor at a college, and she's a little bit aimless, right? So she has gotten divorced from her husband. She lives with her cat in this little place, and just doesn't really have a lot of joy in her life. She just kind of exists until she is at the farmer's market, the weekend farmer's market at her campus, and she meets Ash. And Ash is just this beautiful, captivating woman who completely just hooks her attention, right? She is gorgeous. She is this, she makes all these wonderful things. She sells these plants. She makes these cupcakes, all these different herbal remedies for things, and tonics and stuff like that. And they strike up this easygoing friendship, which slowly turns into something a little bit more and more and more. But as Rosemary gets more and more entangled with Ash, she starts to realize that some things are a little bit unsettling. For example, she's very, very private person about particular areas of her house. This book actually kind of reminded me of the Bluebeard fairy tale a little bit, in which this wealthy man marries this young woman and says you can go into any part of the house except this one door that's locked. She gets in there and finds he killed all his previous wives. It reminded me a lot of that. But she's very private about certain things. She flies off the handle very weirdly about certain things. And there's been some disappearances. Lately throughout the town, and just something is not right. Now, we are getting this feeling way before Rosemary is picking up on this. So what I said earlier about the length of the book really lending a lot to the tone and feel of it is there is just this permeating sense of dread as you're reading this book, where you're just like, oh my God, something is going on. I don't know what it is, but there's something up with Ash. And you're just like screaming in the background, Rosemary, run, run. Of course she doesn't. She gets more and more entangled with Ash until it reaches a very, very insane, crazy, depraved ending, which I chuckled, I'm not going to lie. So, you know, the Rosemary is very oblivious to everything going on. And it's kind of awesome because you're like, you feel really smart reading this book. You're like, oh my gosh, I kind of can tell what's happening here, but you just can't stop reading it because it's so captivating. So this is a wonderful book to read for Pride Month or anytime. I was really actually trying to decide whether I wanted to talk about this during October too, you know, instead of now because of the spooky permeating atmosphere to it. But I think it's a perfect book. It's a weird one. Like I said, you're not going to have read anything like this before. I guarantee it. But if you're looking for something odd and a little bit darkly satisfying, Bloom by Delilah Dawson. And honestly, I do want to say as well, outside of the insidious nature that's of this story, the writing is absolutely gorgeous. Delilah Dawson is a fantastic author, and her writing is just fantastic. So really wonderful book, Bloom. Now this next book I wanted to read just because of the cover and the title, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious, and it's called Bored Gay Werewolf by Tony Santorella. Well, just look at this. It's got very 90s vibes, right? I love the green, I love the black, I love this like comically dark wolf on the front. Gosh, it's just so cool. I put this out on our Pride display on the first day of June, and I think everybody that came up to look at the display had something to say about this book. They're like, what is going on with this title? Because it's just very captivating, right? So, Bored Gay Werewolf is the story of Brian, who is this slacker werewolf in his 20s. So, I think a lot of werewolf media tends to paint werewolves as like these huge, hulking, sexy creatures, right? And they're seductive, and you know, they're painted as like this romantic icon. I mean, if you're reading the sorts of books I do anyway. So, but that's how werewolves, right? That's how they're portrayed, even in movies and stuff. Like, they're scary, they're big, they're Well, Brian is, you're not going to be scared of Brian. Brian is this aimless slacker. He drinks too much. He's a little bit out of shape. He moved into his apartment forever ago, but he still has boxes everywhere. He's still sleeping on a mattress on the floor. Like, he just cannot get his crap together. And also, he's a werewolf. He happens to be a werewolf. So he also can't get his werewolf self together. So every once in a while, he loses it during the full moon, kills somebody. Oops, oh well. And basically, he keeps everybody at arm's length. He's got these really great friends that he works with at this restaurant because he's a waiter. He loves these two people, but he can't get close to them because they don't know the real truth about him. So all that changes when he meets Tony one day, who basically is this guru, like self-help guru, but for werewolves. And he's like, hey, I'm starting this new enrichment program just for werewolves, and it's going to be like basically like a training boot camp to get yourself, you know, in order. And Brian's like, yeah, I guess, all right. And so he does this, and the more he gets embroiled with this guy, with this Tyler guy, he's like, you know, this is not right, because Tyler's kind of a jerk, and he's got this like toxic masculinity where he thinks he's better than everybody, and he thinks werewolves are better than everybody. And it comes to a head where Brian has to, you know, finally come to terms with who he is and who he wants to be. So yes, this book is definitely humorous. It's got a lot of humor to it, but it also deals a lot with like the self-help industry and like toxic masculinity, and it's got a lot of really great themes running through it, as well as the humor and the fun bits. So this is also a book that's not very long. Another one that's really not even that far over 200 pages. So if you're looking for a fun read, something to give you a chuckle, but also has a little bit of depth behind it as well, Bored Gay Werewolf. Wonderful story. I'm so glad I read it, and I can't wait to read more from this author. Well, that's what we've got for you guys today. I hope that these books sound really interesting, or at least you're curious enough to maybe give them a shot. If so, please feel free to come check them out from Farmington Community Library. They are available there. And also, please give this video a like. Thank you so very much for watching, friends, and have a wonderful rest of the day.